welcome to A Feminine Moment. I'm Cherry Lynn, and I am joined as always by Dixie Andelin Forsyth,
Hello.
author of Fascinating Womanhood for the Timeless Woman. Hi, Dixie. How you
Hi.
doing?
Good.
I'm so excited to be here with you today. And today we're going to talk a little bit about men being critical slash perfectionist. So we have a comment from our private Facebook group that says, what should I do when my man is overly critical? When you're not practicing all aspects of FW because you were raised feminist, so you simply are not good at certain homekeeper things.
Okay. Well, let's address the man being critical. It sounds like he really gets uncomfortable if things are really messy at home. I'm assuming
Yeah,
that's
she
kind of
kind of
what.
goes on to say he's a perfectionist, and when he was a single man, he lived a certain way, and he kind of wants her to. It sounds like he kind of wants her to jump into that same way of
Well,
life that he had before.
I'm more like the husband in this, that I feel really stressed when my house is really messy and cluttered or disorganized. It stresses me, and for some people, when you come home and you want to relax, you simply can't if it's a disaster. And to say he's a perfectionist, some people might say I am, and I think, yeah, but you're not enough. So I mean, it's kind of a matter of opinion there, whether you are. But in vintage, I know my mother used to say that when you use childlikeness or girlishness is what we refer to it as in timeless, because it's a little more accurate. I would say use and practice girlishness with him if he's overly critical of you, especially if you're really trying. But if he's right, if you should do better, like say you just don't hardly ever do the dishes, then you really, it's not really fair for you to say he shouldn't feel the way he does when you're not kind of keeping.
That's the way he is. Yeah.
Yeah. Hang on one second. Sorry, I have to close the phone, guys. Okay, so
No, I can relate to this one a little bit, and I'm no expert by any
uh,
means, but I can relate to this one a little bit because my husband has a little bit of those tendencies to be a perfectionist. And I think what works really well for me is I just try to pay attention to the things that are the most important to him, because I can't, none of us can do it all,
no,
like
and
we
if he
can't
wants
do
you to,
everything.
if you have, especially if you have children, if he or you're working full time and he wants to come home and everything, there's not a spot on your floor in the kitchen. I'm saying that because there's a spot on my floor I got to get rid of. But if he's like that and say, hey, there's a spot here, that would drive any woman crazy, and that's where girlishness comes in. And like you said, if I don't know what the most important things are to your husband, maybe it's the dishes, maybe it's clutter,
Yeah.
tidy. In
Yeah.
other words, he doesn't care as much whether there's a few dust bunnies around. That's just dust clumps. Anyone who hasn't heard that term. But he hates dirty dishes. I mean, men are not all the same, or we're not all the same. But
Hmm.
you can begin to change and take better care of your home. That's the other thing. But you have to have time to do it. You can't just instantly be different overnight.
Yeah. No, there was a cute comment on, I think it was on this thread by a lady that said she uses childlike or girlishness, but she calls it sauciness because that's what
Which is
works for
part
her.
of it, yeah. And
I thought that was cute.
that's absolutely appropriate when
Yeah.
you're not a total, as they said on I Love Lucy, a mess cat. If
Yeah.
you're not, I mean, if you've got piles of laundry everywhere and dirty dishes, it's not really fair for you to get upset with him and you really kind of blew it. You
Well,
know,
in her example, she said, like, one time her husband came home and he said, "What's that smell? Something was stinky." And she said, "Well, next time I guess I'll change the baby's diaper outside." And she just made this joke. I thought that was cute because she was just trying to lighten the mood. And now that may not work for every husband. Some men might think that it will rile them up even more, and maybe that's not the right approach. But for her, that worked, and I thought that was a cute.
yeah. Or you could also say, I know, isn't it awful?
Yeah.
I hate it too, because it's not
I
like it's
cannot
coming from
figure
her.
out what that is.
Yeah, just say, I know, isn't it awful? I just hate it. Maybe we need to find a new room freshener or something.
Yeah.
But it depends on the situation, but you have to be allowed to grow and to make improvements without having someone feel like someone's over you with kind of a critical whip. So when they're overly, you can use girlishness and say, of all the nerve, I'm doing the best I can. But you really should be doing the best you can, and not just
Right.
if you're sitting around on your phone or watching TV or gabbing with your friends or going out shopping, and you left a huge mess at home. It's not really fair for you to get on him, because it is important to people who need order in their life to be able to relax. I cannot, if I come in my kitchen and there's dirty dishes, just even like a few of them in the sink, I always wash them before I start cooking. I don't add to it, because I just don't feel like I do as good a job. I feel like I need to start fresh with cooking, and I don't leave my dishes overnight. It's too depressing to wake up in the morning with dirty dishes. And so for a man to want that is not invalid, but he can go too far.
And I think too, in this specific, this is just this one thread, and it may be different for other women, but I think in this thread, she mentioned that she was raised feminist. So she may be thinking, well, when he comes home, I want him to help.
Yeah, she didn't say that, but I wondered that as well. Then if she's working full time, especially if she has kids, they may need to have a little talk about that she might need some help, because things are a little different today. Is the rule then that men expect women to go out and earn half of the income, but they have to take care of the entire home? And as we talk about in Fascinating Womanhood, especially Timeless, that's a big job, and it's ongoing, because it doesn't just require cleaning. It requires shopping, cooking, making sure that, and laundry. It's a big job to do it, especially when there's children. And so if you do this over here, women are suddenly having to do it all. And it's hard. It's hard on us. So we might need help. And he may have been raised and just think, no, absolutely not. I don't do that sort of thing. So then you'll need to talk.
You've been raised with a mother that did it all.
That's true. He could have been, because some women are really able to do it. And it doesn't mean that it isn't hard for them too, but they just pull it off. I think it's hard for any woman to do it all, because to be good, if you want to feel good at something, which most of us do, it's hard to feel good at several big things at once. It's just really hard. It's like if you had a full-time job as an attorney, and then you were a school teacher on the side. It's hard to do both really well, and focus on both those careers. So
yeah,
I think for this lady, without knowing more, because this is very little information, if he's too critical, go back and practice girlishness. At the same time, you really can say honestly, you're doing the best you can.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I think too, going back to play, prioritizing, I guess, is maybe the word I'm thinking of. Prioritizing the things that are important to him. Like, I know for me, the things that I appreciate in a clean home are almost completely the opposite of what my husband appreciates.
What does he appreciate in a clean home?
He appreciates the kitchen being clean for some reason. That's just something I think that he was raised with, which is totally fine for me, because I don't want a messy kitchen, but to me, I'm really big on the floors. If the floors are messy and dirty, I have a little baby that crawls on them, and I don't want the baby on the dirty floors, and he doesn't see the floors as dirty. And it's taken me a long time to find a balance. I have to strike that really great balance.
That's a good point.
Laundry is really important to him, and I can let it pile up, and then I'd rather just do it
all at once.
And he likes it always kind of maintained. So I've learned to kind of play to both of find that balance between the two of us, but particularly prioritize his needs, because I know I can be a little bit more flexible, if that makes sense. And I know that
most women can. Most women can be a little bit more flexible, because we are relationship oriented and we want people to be happy. And I was thinking when you said he doesn't notice the floors, maybe he's so tall he doesn't see him. He's quite tall. He doesn't see him, and you're not short, but he doesn't He doesn't
Well,
look
he's
down at
not getting on the floor with the kids. And
you.
I'm getting on the floor with the kids constantly, and I see it up close, and I'm horrified by the floors. I just have this thing with floor, and I haven't always been that way. It's been more
Right.
since I've had kids. So I've had to learn to, that's my one thing that I'm always going to get done for myself, and not myself, but the house. And what are the things that I'm going to do for him first before I get to the floors? And then I know that sounds kind of silly, but it works for me.
No,
And
it isn't. I understand perfectly.
years to get
And
there.
I know you, so everybody who doesn't know you. You have also a little dog. So I think your little dog makes sure there aren't a lot of crumbs on the floor. But there's other things like maybe juice spots or things that
Yeah.
like that something that gets on there that.
Yeah. Even clutter on the floor doesn't bother him. So I kind of, I'm going to take the time I normally would have taken to clean up all the toys and kind of push them aside, maybe hide them underneath things. But I'll take that time to press his shirts or whatever it is that he might ask me to do, that he would appreciate me doing. And then the greatest trade-off with that is that when he sees it, you can tell his mind, like he stays up here. He stays up here and he comes home and he sees that the kitchen's clean and it's consistently clean and the laundry's clean. Maybe there's some other things over here that aren't done, but those things really mean a lot to him, and they help welcome him home. And I haven't always been a stay-at-home mom, so this is stuff that's
So
totally.
when he's welcomed home and you can feel him relaxing, that helps you. And you can always do those things later, just before bed or something like that, if you have to.
Exactly. Whereas in the past, I may have not realized those things, and especially when I was working, because more of my life I've been a working mom, and so when we would both come home to those things, we would clash on, well, the kitchen's a mess, so we got to do this, and it just felt like a hamster wheel. We're just going round and round in circles.
And it's interesting you mentioned that, because I have kind of the opposite. My husband, Bob, he doesn't notice things like I do. Like
I
his
know.
his dresser on the side of the bed, the nightstand, is piled with stuff, and which is hard for me. I don't like that, and mine is completely not. So what I do, the things that make him feel comfortable, is if I can let go of some things and spend more time with him, rather it's the kind of the opposite thing. The
Mm-hmm.
things that are important to him, if I try not to be cleaning the floor or something when he comes home, because he wants me to spend time with him.
Mm-hmm.
He takes for granted that everything is pretty tidy, especially since the kids are grown. But even when the kids weren't grown, he didn't comment on those things
Mm-hmm.
at all, because compared to his mother, I was always super,
Right.
super tidy. But what's important to him is spending time and not picking at him for having certain of his spaces not totally tidy.
Right, because you could easily turn this into a
Oh,
nagging situation.
yeah, which would not work. Anyway, it would just,
Yeah.
it'd
Yeah.
be losing battles. So I just have to kind of not
Yeah.
look at that side. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to learn to let go. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, great. Well, this has been really, really great and interesting. And thank you everyone for watching. And Dixie, thank you so much for sharing all of your
Mhm.
great advice that we love. And don't forget everyone to comment below if you have a question or a comment. I know you're probably thinking a few things that you'd like to pass on to us, and we love your questions. So don't forget that, as well as to subscribe so you can get a notification when we have new episodes.
Right.
And that's it. I'll see you next time. Thank
See ya.
you.
Bye.
Bye.